Check 1 2. What's going on, folks? Streaming from my rain hut. Built this wooden structure outside. Nice. And yeah, it's for when it rains. It's just this lean-to sort of thing going on. Well, that's not more than a lean-to, but there's a giant, one wall of it opens up and it's got clear plastic on the outside. But because I'm outside, you have to deal with JFK airplanes flying overhead from time to time. So there it is. What's up, Money Mitch? And thank you, Uncle Guns, for posting my links. I appreciate that. But yeah, we got some ivy growing on the brick wall. So anyways, it's fucking cold out here, hence the sweater. I hope everyone's doing all right. If you're a man watching this, it should definitely be all right because it's wonderful to be born as a man. It's probably one of the best things in the world. And then the next best thing are motorcycles. If you don't have one, I suggest you get one. It'll change your life. You'll never be sad again. You having a bad day? Get on, rip for a few miles, and you feel good when you come back. I get my clients to do that shit. Yep. And they're like, damn, Justin, I don't need you anymore because I got this fucking motorcycle. Yeah, so because I'm out here in the cold, it's making my nose run, so pardon the sniffing. I did not do a bunch of cocaine before the show. I would be much more talkative. Yes. Yeah, so we're getting into what do women want? And it's an age-old question. Fucking that bitch Sigmund Freud. He was obsessed with that shit. And very confused. So that just showed that Sigmund Freud had no game. Because when you got game, you really don't care too much of what women want until you get to a certain point, and I'll explain that. So when it comes to what women want, like let's look at what's going on, on the surface, okay? And what was it I was reading? All right, so I was on Substack. Yeah, I'm on Substack. I don't know if that's in the description of the videos, but I should put that in there. So I started the Substack, and I get into talking about more like ethereal stuff, more heady things than my usual things. They're much more view posts. Okay, so yeah, they're much more cerebral and philosophical. So I get into that because I like to dive like pretty deep into the stuff. So I was on Substack, and this guy, he had this article, and it said, "The Manosphere Journey. Do you see a slut or do you see a story?" And the minute I saw his first sentence, I knew that there was some shit going on. I knew that there was some shit going on because he said something like women have it on easy mode or some shit. What did he say? What did he say here? It's no secret that women play the game on easy mode. In fact, women don't even really have to play the game. They just have to show up while being made female, and the game just sort of goes all right for them. As long as a woman is not completely grotesque looking or completely untenable as a person, some men are going to want to have sex with her. In fact, some men somewhere are even going to be willing to date her seriously, maybe even marry her. Even better for her, at least some portion of these men are going to be above her league. This doesn't mean women never struggle. nor have to settle for suboptimal situations. Not every woman is going to have a super hot, super rich, super nice to her, but still a worldwide dominant leader among men badass who's 1,000,000% unconditionally to her. Most women get strung along for sex by guys out of their league, end up married normalish guys who are everything they dreamed of, but okay, or sometimes both things. But any time a woman's unhappy, she can leave, cheat, divorce her current guy if married, and take his stuff and move on, find someone else. There's always someone else. And but then whatever happened to the wall? But the wall, I think the wall. I thought the wall always wins, and I was like, what the fuck, and so I didn't read the whole fucking thing because I'm not a moron, because he went on, and then after just a few lines I said, what I hear in criticism of said easy mode is covert jealousy, a desire to have the advantages women have, to be treated by the world like women do, to be treated like a woman, perhaps to be a woman. And I think that's really what a lot of these guys, you dudes who criticize women and pretend that you don't, you load up a bunch of ammunition of, red pill talking points just so you can slam dunk a woman on social media. Like, all of that is just jealousy. All that shit is jealousy. That's all it is. This young villain, this sex philosopher, that's me, man. Yep. Enlightenment can be found in any pocket of life. Just remember that. So this guy, right? So you could see, like, he understands women only on a superficial level, which is, it's fine because that's part of it, but you're only looking at a certain level. You know what I'm saying? This is why, like biologists, they'll dig into trees, right? If they just look at the tree and they're like, oh yeah, like there's the bark, and they think that's the whole story. It's not the whole story. They have to take a core sample, and then they can really tell the story of the tree, and really understand like certain events and like environmental changes and all sorts of shit going way back in time. And same with like ice, like when they do like core samples of deep ice, same shit. And so he's like, yeah, women want this guy who's like super hot, super rich, super nice to her, still a worldwide dominant leader among men, badass, who's unconditional to her. And yes, women want this stuff, okay? And the sad part is that men blame them for this, and so out of one side of the mouth, they're like, women are hypergamous, right? All they want is like the best stuff. And then at the other side of their mouth, they're like, well, actually, like getting all scientific and shit, describing like why hypergamy even exists in the first place is like a part of their biological imperative of survival. So on one hand, they acknowledge that it exists and the reason for it, and then they blame them for having this genetic predisposition. like that's getting upset at a gorilla for being hairy. Like, what the fuck? So, like, damn it, tigers with stripes, I want them to be spotted. So it's like, it's really not a big deal. It's only a big deal, right, if you're invisible to women. And then I could understand the gripes. I could understand the bitterness. I could understand wanting to slam dunk on them, because at that point you really don't have much. Like, you don't have any leverage at all. Okay. And this is, this is where it's problematic, because it doesn't get guys anywhere doing this sort of stuff, but it charges them up emotionally, so they feel like they're doing something, right? And then they can walk away from whatever sort of online engagement that they had, and feel like they've done something with their lives, and they get all empowered, and then they talk to all their red pill buddies about like how fucking stupid the foids are, right? Foids. And and then they just talk about women incessantly, constantly. If it wasn't for this show, if it wasn't for helping you guys and educating you guys and that sort of thing, I wouldn't talk about women at all, ever. Like this, there's no point. Why? Like, do you talk about like African fruit bats ever? No, right? Because like unless you're like a biologist or something like that, or a mammologist, you're not going to talk about African fruit bats. Okay, so unless you're like a sociologist, unless you're like it's something within your vocation or your career that has to do with studying the behaviors of people, maybe especially women, and it's part of just what you do in life. Okay, fine, right? But how many of those guys who make all these criticisms and these analyses, how many of them do you think are within careers that focus on that? You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's probably quite small. It's really quite small. And so I think you should just not be those guys, and I think you should just ignore them. Like they don't add anything to life. There's nothing constructive, beneficial, positive at all. So I would just ignore their asses. But as far as what women want, I'm on one end, you really could just say, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's like, my kid says, he's 13 and he's like, I want a dirt bike. All right. I'm in New York City. Like, yes, you can have a dirt bike. And yes, some guys do have dirt bikes, but they're riding illegally. Okay. And it's very dangerous. And if they get caught, their bike gets impounded. They, can, face a hefty fine, or because he's a minor, I'm going to face the fine. He really wants a dirt bike. Okay. And so it's just not going to happen. Unless we lived in the countryside and there'd be no problem. But just because he wants it, that doesn't change anything within me. I'm just like, yeah, cool. Like, you know what? I love the fact that you are interested in motorcycles. I love you for that. But it's not happening. It's not happening until you can get a license. And then you can ride your fucking heart out, and I will be right there with you. But so he can want what he wants, and he can continue saying the things that he wants. But it has no bearing on me. Okay. Now, when a woman says, I want a man who looks like this, who does this, who behaves like this, who sounds like this, why would it bother a guy to hear this? Okay. Because it should be understood in the same way as my kid saying he wants a dirt bike. So why would it bother a guy? Okay. The only reason why it bothers the guy is because he's not the thing that she seeks, and it hurts his feelings. That's it. That's the whole fucking shit in one little lunch bag. Okay, one little Ziploc bag made for sandwiches. Is he's just not desirable, or at least he believes he's not. Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys who have such low self-esteem that they think they're undesirable or ugly or what have you, and they're actually not. Like, I've seen some of these black pill forums. The majority of I wouldn't say the majority, but a good chunk of the guys who are part of this, because they share pictures and all this gay shit, like rate my fucking jawline. They're not bad looking dudes, right? They're like average or sometimes even above average, but their whole fucking perspective is so warped that they think that they're fucking Quasimodo. And so it's really a mental game, right? Unless you actually are Quasimodo, and then you're fucked. And then maybe you could just find another Quasimodo to fuck. Oh shit. Yeah, she's looking good. Oh damn. Yes. Fire. Um, Sorry, I sent an assignment and I'm just checking on the assignment. Um, what is she doing here? Because teach you, blah 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 blah. Nice. Yes, it's difficult to ride in a skirt, but we can fix that when I see you. So, um, so yeah, so let's see. There's a little tip for you. Um, yeah, little pro tip. Whenever you're, whenever you're like having some sort of interaction with a woman, okay, is you could always take something that they say and just turn the dial up. Just turn up the intensity just a little bit, just a notch or something like that. Nothing crazy. I mean, you could go crazy if you want to, but you just turn the dial, like however much you want to, or whatever you're comfortable with. And right there, you're just starting to like redirect things, right? Because I just sent that there. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger. And because she's going to be like wondering, like, well, what is that? Like, what do you mean? We'll fix that, right? Because she's just, I asked her to show me her outfit. And, she was a professor. And so she's, wearing a certain something. She was trying to explain away, like, oh my gosh, this isn't feminine enough because I had to wear pants. But she rides a motorcycle. So I understand. Like, she's like, I can't wear a skirt. It's like impossible on a bike. And, so I was like, yeah, like, whatever, we'll fix that. So in her head, like, I've already laid the seeds for the sexual thinking and all that shit. So, basically anything that I hint at that could be understood in a different way, she interprets it sexually. And, so I just like pop the seed in there, let it roll, and she does the rest, you know. And that kind of like ties back in with like what's wanted. Okay. So you guys think that she wants a tall guy, right? And then I'll say no. And then you guys are like, well, like, look at this picture, look at this picture, look at this picture, look at these examples, like all over. And or like asking girls like, oh, how tall was your ex-boyfriend? And they're always tall, right? They're always much taller than the girl. And they're like, see, all they want is tall guys, right? And again, that's just having to do more so with them. And it has to do with their insecurities, worrying about what the fuck the woman wants. Okay. And all right, so let's look at that. Tall. Why would a woman want a tall guy? All right. Because it makes them feel something. All right. It makes them feel a certain way. It makes them feel small. Because last I checked, women don't like to feel big. All right. Men like to feel big. We like feeling like a bigger stature. We like to feel stronger. We like to feel thicker. Like whatever it is, we just like to be big, right? Like I fucking loved it. I was experimenting with D-ball, and you know, like performance enhancing drugs are probably the most fun drugs ever. Like, I mean, unless like if you can't handle psychedelics or whatever. I mean, psychedelics are pretty fun too, but PEDs are fun as fuck. And especially if like you don't go crazy with them and like fuck up your hormones really bad. But even then, after some time, they reset. But I was experimenting. I was taking like 50 milligrams a day. I got big as fuck, and I was pushing like 225 is like my body weight, and it makes you really fucking strong, like really strong. And I was doing wide grip pull-ups, okay? And I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and I was doing wide grip pull-ups and I was launching myself off the bar a few inches. So like maybe 4 or 5 inches. I was able to launch up and my hands would leave the bar and then I'd come back down on the bar at 225. Like, and I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But so I'm telling you, PEDs are It's fucking wild. Like you're doing one arm rows and you're running out. Like you're at the fucking 110s doing one arm rows like you're pulling a string on a lawnmower. Now, I fucked up because I was going too fast, and with like the increasing of weight over the weeks, and that my tendons were not adapting fast enough. Because tendons, their strength grows in a very, very slow manner compared to muscles. So my muscles could pull the weight, but the tendons hadn't yet adapted. And I didn't have any tears, but I started developing some tendonitis in my elbow from those rows. But man, it was crazy to walk over to the fucking one arm or to the 110s and just pull them as though they were like 45s. It was crazy. Um, so yeah, men like to be big, and just to walk around and feel like heavy on the earth was just a really, I don't know, it was just a great feeling. And so but T-ball is the sort of thing that it doesn't last. Like you get off of it, and then after like some weeks, you go back to your baseline. You might keep like 10%. But anyways, men like to be big. Women do not like to be big. Women like to be small. This is partly why you see like the big fat chick whose best friend is like much smaller than her. Such a weird combo, like Batman Robin thing going on that like so many girls practice. It's so funny. But but yeah, it's like so the big chick can be like, I don't know, seen a little bit better by proxy to the girl who's smaller and cuter. So because they like the feeling, right? It's not like, oh right, this guy, like I like him because let's face it, like women are terrible when it comes to spatial relations. They don't like, if you showed them a piece of wood that was cut to 8 inches and you said, hey, how long do you think this is? The majority of them would not be able to answer you. Like their spatial relations is crap. Okay. Like a lot of guys, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of guys, if you showed them a board that was 8 inches long, they'd probably guess within an inch, right? Or a half an inch or what have you. Um, so when you show them a guy who's like 6'1", they don't know. They're just like, they just hear this number like 6 foot or whatever. And they're like, and then they just have this idea. It just means like bigger than me. I don't know, 6 foot. Um, they're dummies when it comes to that shit. But anyways, so it's not about like the actual object, okay? It's how the object makes them feel. They feel smaller, and that's what they're after, okay? So when the guy is bigger than them, it's not the actual number, it's how that size differential makes them feel. They want to feel small. They want to be able to curl up inside the guy. You know what I'm saying? Um, they want to be able to be like thrown around, right? Even if they're not able to be thrown around, right? They're like, pushing 150 or some shit. Um, you can still toss around a 150-pound girl, but, not quite as easily as like 120, 110, 115. Um, but they still want to feel that way, right? They still want to feel like a little girl. They want to like in so many ways, right? And there's many things that make a girl feel smaller and more childlike, but not like a child, but childlike. And to them, it feels good. It lights them up. And so when they say that, like, I want these things, a lot of times it's not the actual thing that they want because they don't truly understand how those things come about, what their actual use is, or what their value is. They just want the feeling that comes from those things. And mostly it has to do with their perceptions of these things. Okay. So that's really something for you to understand, right? Girls, they're just after the feelings. So, what's going on here? See, I told you. She goes, Like I said, yes, it's difficult to ride in a skirt, but we can fix that when I see you. And she's like, how to fix it, my lord? How exactly? I'm quite curious. I'm just gonna let her sit with that for a little while. Oh man. So you really if you want to like be able to just communicate well with women, you have to stop giving a shit like about anything with regard to how they might react. All right. That's where the most fun comes into play because once you stop giving a shit, once you stop worrying how they might take what you have to say, uh, you can pretty much, you're at liberty to say whatever you want, whatever comes to mind, whatever. And then what that does is it removes like a limiter, you know what I'm saying? Like what they have on like many vehicles, right? When they import them, they have rev limiters on them. So the RPMs can only go so high, which will generate only so much power. And you can, go through some programming and have those things removed, have the ECU reflashed, and then you can have the rev limiters removed. And now you have like a whole wide open power band. And that's what happens when you stop giving a shit. Okay, that you're caring or being concerned with how they might take it is like a rev limiter, right, on your engine, right, of your engine of communication. And so you remove that, and a whole wide, limitless field of creativity opens up, and you can almost not say the wrong thing. All right, it's very difficult to say the wrong thing, and I would say that it's even harder to say the wrong thing if she's attracted to you. Like if she's highly attracted to you, like that's it. Like you pretty much can say whatever you want, right? Like she wrote to me. She's like, good morning, my lord, and that's what she said. I'll just tell you what my response was. Um, Shit, where is this? Right. So I said, good morning, my happy whore. Right. Like I didn't even think of like, all right, this is just what I'm gonna say. Good morning, my happy whore. And because that's what she is. But it like lights her up. I mean, she sent me this like bouncing little sticker, of this like bimbo with her tits, because she's like, turning into like a mindless bimbo around me. But uh so that's really what happens. Like you can pretty much just say whatever you want. You don't have to worry about being offensive. Because it like when she likes you, you could just really just say whatever. And I think there were like some, for you guys who like studies and shit, there was that one example where some dude made a dating profile and he like in the bio it said like all kinds of awful shit. Do you remember that? Where it said like he was he was like a neo-Nazi, he like, raped and killed dogs. He was just saying like all this awful, awful stuff in his bio, but his pictures were like really, really good. It was he like, the person just like stole some models' pictures and put them up. And there were so many girls that matched with him. And then even while they were chatting, he was like, hey, did you read my bio? Right. And they're like, oh yeah, but like it's not that bad. He's like, I set fire to a fucking like animal shelter with the animals in it. And they're like, oh yeah, like people make mistakes. you know so that's just an extreme example that like when the girl's attracted to you, and I'm not saying like just on your looks, but just with everything that you are, you can say whatever. And they're just like, oh, he's so charming. you know Leaving me fucking heart emojis and shit when I'm calling her fucking awful, awful things. um and the good morning horror was just you know tip of the iceberg. But anyways, so but that really ties into the what women want, right? It ties into that. Okay, because what's this here? Hybristophilia is a real thing in some cases. You know what? I don't even know what the fuck that is. Let's look that up. Hybristophilia. Hybristophilia is a paraphilia which is an unusual sexual interest or attraction. In this case, it specifically refers to sexual arousal or attracted to individuals who have committed crimes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's totally a real thing. Like girls falling in love with some dude who's on death row. Um, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, yes. Yep. Absolutely. Take what they say and turn the dial up. Yep. And how much? That's up to you. But really, like again, it goes back to what they actually want, but they don't often even know this. They a lot of times they don't know what they want, right? They too have these surface level things, okay? And so they don't realize that the things that they want or the things that they project or things that they fantasize about, this comes with a feeling that they just take for granted, right? It just comes along. They don't understand, like, oh, when I think about the fireman that I just saw, like doing some routine check at the school next door, and oh my gosh, like how fucking attractive they were, being all like rough and tough and in their gear and all that shit. Like she's not thinking like the symbols and like what that does to her psyche and like how it translates to her feelings, and then how she takes that and projects some sort of fantasy on them. She's not thinking about that. Okay. She's just thinking, I see this thing, and then instantaneously all those machinations happen, and then she starts feeling the just attraction. Okay. Um, they're not considering any of that shit. So with that understanding, it's like what what you see them saying, like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. Guys get caught up in that surface part, and this is what leads men astray. Okay, because they've split often into two groups. One is trying to meet those things and saying, oh, okay, so you want this and this and this and this. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to become that which you desire, and then you'll want to be with me. Okay. And guys will call them dudes losers. They'll call them simps. They'll call them tryhards. They'll be like the male version of a pick me, right? So that's one avenue, right? And then the other avenue is bitterness, which we see a lot of. I think even more so than the others, or perhaps at an equal level, where they're saying fuck all that shit that women want. Their standards are too high. They're being unrealistic. All they want is like the super duper Chad, super ultra giga Chad. And, that's leaving out the vast majority of population of dudes. So fuck them, right? Fuck women in their unrealistic standards. You're going to die alone with an apartment full of cats, right? And, so those are the two camps, right? And really, what it should be, when you're a man with a capital M, and you just understand this stuff, it's the same thing as my kid saying he wants a fucking dirt bike, right? It's like, cool, all right. Like, I hear you, but I'm not really listening, because what's the point, right? Either way, like that bifurcated situation there, both are listening to them, right? The one guy's listening and he overperforms. The other guy's listening and he gets all critical and bitter. They're both listening and not gaining anything from that. Okay. Um, you don't hear like a lot of stories of guys being like, oh shit, like, I worked on my physique and I got my money together, and got a couple degrees, and I started a business and everything's doing fucking awesome. I updated my wardrobe and now I'm swimming in women, right? You don't hear a lot of those stories, right? Because shit's not determined by those things. Okay. Like, sure, women are not going to turn down a man who has his worldly shit together. Okay. Like, that's not going to be unappealing. It's always going to be appealing. Okay. But what guys misunderstand is that doesn't, like, none of that stuff translates into emotion. Right. Let me say that again. No worldly possession or level of status turns into an emotion. it can turn into a feeling. Okay. So the feeling is like the excitement. It's that surface level emotional engagement, right? That's what I call feelings. Feelings are just they're they're these quick transient passings of emotion that don't penetrate deeply. They don't actually like affect her in any sort of meaningful way. All right. Some emotion is there, but it's nothing to fucking write home about. You know what I'm saying? It's like she meets some dude and he has his own like private jet. Okay, that's gonna be very exciting. Okay, but that doesn't penetrate her, right? It doesn't penetrate her emotions to the point where she's like, I cannot stop thinking about this man. I must give my entire being to this man in a nicely wrapped box and say, please, sir, please take me. Please. I please, you must take me. I beg of you, right? It A jet's not going to do that. Okay, she's going to love the jet. She's going to enjoy the jet. She's going to take pictures and share with her friends and look at how much fun I'm having. Blah blah blah. Right, but that's all the higher frequency of emotions. Okay, the lower frequency of emotions, no object or appearance will ever do that. Okay, sure, it maybe they'll make certain choices. Okay, and guys will see that and go, wow, look, this guy, because he looks a certain way, he has certain things, he's making the woman do this, that, and the other. Okay, she's running with him there, she's running after him there, blah blah blah. Okay, but if that situation were to change abruptly, right? Let's just say he's done with the girl, fucked her a few times, took her on his boat, they did this, they did that, they had some coke parties, whatever, and then after a week he just fucking ghosts her. Sure, she might be upset, maybe for like a couple of days, possibly a week, and then after that it's gone, right? Because none of those things actually penetrated her. When you get to the level of emotions, right, and you start penetrating her emotions, and when that happens, her sense of self starts shifting, her perspective starts shifting, her understanding of how she relates to men or that man starts shifting, her beliefs start shifting. All of these things start being affected when you start permeating her from the inside out. Okay, and she doesn't have to experience anything. She doesn't have to experience a trip or a bag or a car or jewelry or whatever. She doesn't have to experience any of this shit. Okay, all she has to experience are her emotions, her own emotions. That's all she needs to experience, and this is what becomes penetrative, and it can be achieved strictly with your mind and your voice. That's all you need. That's the only thing you ever need. Now, would it be better for you to like not be homeless and have a sharp mind and a great voice, or like a creative great voice? Sure. Do you have to have a yacht and have to be ripped and have to be exceedingly wealthy? No. Okay. But I'm saying if like you had two guys who averagely had their shit together. They were like in terms of like they're caring for themselves and how they're established in life. And the one guy, he's got a good head about him and he understands how to influence. Okay. It takes him into a completely different league. And then maybe the other guy's like, oh, well, I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to up my lifestyle. I'm going to make me more flashy. I'm going to make me more enticing on the marketing level. Okay. Sure, that can draw eyes, but it's not going to draw her heart. It's not going to draw her core. It's not going to draw her. It's not going to make her more vulnerable. It's not going to make her more open. Like none of that shit. Sure, it's fun, but fun is not an emotion that is connected to vulnerability. It's not connected to openness. It's not connected to her fear, right? I want to touch a woman's fear before I touch her happiness. right? Like the happiness is such a fleeting emotion. It's like it's a high frequency. It pitter patters about whatever. But like I wanna like swirl my finger around in their fears, right? I want to swirl my finger around in like what they're anxious about, what they worry about, what's deeply concerning their soul, right? Like, granted, I don't want too much in there because if you feel around and there's like a fuck ton of shit, then you're like, oh well, that's a little too much work than what it's worth. But you know, every girl's gonna have her fears. They're gonna have their hangups. They're gonna have some pains, which then changes how they see themselves. Okay, so they can have one particular situation that altered, you know, maybe it's not too traumatic, but it was enough to alter how they see themselves, right? Maybe just like their mom called them ugly when they were a kid, like for a number of years. Like that's enough. It's not like super duper trauma, like, you know, the pastor at the church touched them inappropriately for a number of years, nothing like that. But that's enough. That's enough. And that's where she's a self perception exists. That's where I want to go. I want to get to her self perception because if I can get in there and then I start shifting things, I start chipping away things, I start peeling away things, of course, with a certain type of leadership, a certain type of communication where you're you're communicating in such a way that you're making it feel like it's okay for her to gently remove layers, okay, and expose these things to you, expose her fear, expose her discomfort, expose her self-criticism, her self-judgment, and all that stuff. Because when that's on the level of self-perception and belief, you start messing around and start influencing the levels of self-perception and belief. Now all this stuff that's on top of that, the superficial stuff, right, all of that doesn't matter and all of it starts to change, right? And because you're now getting in on the level of affecting how she sees herself, that far fucking trumps having fun on some rich guy's boat. Okay? By far. Because now you're actually influencing the person that she is. Okay? Now, you may not want to do that. And that's totally fine. You might be like, you know what, Justin? That's fucking bullshit. And it is. It is bullshit. It's all bullshit no matter which way you cut it. But it's like, well, you know, where do you want to have fun? You know what I mean? Like I like psychology. I like getting in people's heads. I mean, I do it for a living, so like that makes sense. But like I find people to be, maybe that's it. Like in order to do what I'm talking about, you have to actually appreciate people. Um, and get away from criticisms and stuff, and except when it's like super egregious, you know, they've got a thing with animals or whatever. But um but if it's not that, then to me just the quirks and the how people see things and their choices and all that stuff, oh, excuse me, I find that to be incredibly interesting. I don't judge it, I just see it, I hear it, and then I'm just like, wow, okay, like, well, why does that happen? How are these things connected? And you know, and then I'll see a thread. You know, it's like I'm the type of guy, like when you when you've got like a sweater and there's like a snag, you know, just like one little like yarn or a thread coming off. I'm the guy who has to pull on it. Like instead of cutting it like right at the garments at the edge so it's not gonna like keep unraveling, I'm the guy who's like playing with it like a cat, you know, like sitting at the little string, and then I'll like catch it and like, okay, let me pull this fucker, and then just start pulling it, and like it's just unraveling more and more and more. I just have that mentality. Okay, I'm curious, like what happens if I pull on this thread, you know, and you'd be surprised, like when you let go of judgments and stuff, you let go of criticisms, you just see things as they are, and and like look at that interesting thing. And the when you start pulling on these threads in women, right? With a bit of care, right? Um, with a bit of awareness. Let me put it that way, not necessarily care, but awareness. The the like the depths that you can go can start transforming them. It starts changing them. It's I don't know, it's just a really weird thing that you start recognizing when the woman starts changing her behaviors and changing the way she sees herself. So like I've got this client he's been struggling with his wife for a while, okay? And so we had to like iron out some shit with him first, and now he's like kind of set, he's straight, and now we can start looking at how his behavior is affecting her and then understanding his wife and like from a deep level. And it's just really interesting that once he started once he started being able to recognize these threads, okay, and was able to gently pull on them, not yank on them, okay, because you see a thread, if you yank on it, it'll snap, okay. And let's say the goal is to unravel the whole sweater, right? If you pull on it too hard, it snaps, and then you lost your chance. So, what? Let's give you like a realistic idea of this. So, let's say uh, you're seeing that she's got an issue with closeness. She's got an issue with trustworthiness. You see her playing games. You see her keeping her distance. Um, and you've got yourself sorted out. You're like, okay, well, I'm not giving her any reason to distrust me. I'm being straightforward, and and this is her now, right? So certain things will come up, and you start understanding like why she's feeling the way she's feeling, why she's distrustful or just not trusting you. And and so you might see certain things. She might say something, and you say, well, like, how does that make you feel? Or tell me about that, right? Tell me about this, or tell me about that, like what happened in your past, whatever. And there's ways of going about the conversation with leading questions and leading comments, and that's gently pulling that thread, right? And starting to reveal more and more of why she's behaving the way she is, such that she can understand it. And without coming at it from a position of criticism, that's pulling on the string too hard. And that's what my client was doing. He was pulling on it too hard, which would then make the string snap, and she would recoil because she felt like she was being psychoanalyzed, she felt like she was being criticized. And that doesn't produce the results. It works for us, right? It works for men, where if we're being called out on certain behaviors and we're just like, hey, that's fucked up. You're doing it because of this, and here, and this is affecting here. So why don't you just fucking stop and everything's going to be fine, right? When there's that clear cut understanding, like we can do that amongst men. Like we don't take it personally. Like, sure, maybe it like might ding our ego a little bit in the moment, but it doesn't cut deep. We're not going to go home and fucking cry in our pillow. So we're just like, all right, man, yeah, like you're right. Like I'm fucking around. This It's not cool. So right, and then it gets squared away. Like even if it's something of high intensity and dudes like duke it out, a lot of times like after a fist fight, guys are friends afterwards because there's that level of respect. They get the shit out of their system, and then they're tight afterwards. Happens all the time. But we can't operate in the same way with women. Okay. And that's how he was just being like really direct and blunt and this. And he was like, I don't understand like why she can't handle the truth. And so I was just like, listen, you just got to step back, observe, understand. And we was just talking about more of like her mentality and where she's at and all this stuff. And now he understands the connection between the underlying problems and her upbringing and all this stuff, and how that translates to all these wants that she was saying that she had, and not understanding herself exactly what those needs are that she has. All right. And then so he started dialing in on her needs that she wasn't even vocalizing, because a lot of times women don't understand what their needs are. And now her behavior is shifting. She's completely shifting over into this whole new persona. And it's and she's not even noticing it. That's the funny part. He's like, holy shit, like I can watch my wife changing day by day right before my eyes, and she doesn't recognize it, which is really funny. Okay, like because they're solipsistic, they're just like, oh, I'm showing up today as me. I always show up as me, and me is great, and they tell themselves that shit and all the good stuff. But that's irrelevant. Okay, that's like similar to squirrels chattering. But anyways, so he's seeing this change in front of him in real time, and it's like, what the fuck, right? And all I had to do was change how I speak. All I had to do was just watch my tone, because your tone can change everything, right? Um, so if if you take the phrase like "get over here, you little shit," right? You could say that playfully, and it has a certain texture to it. You could say it forcefully, and it has a texture to it. You could say it seductively, and it has a texture to it, right? There's so many different ways of applying different textures to phrases, and the texture can be in your tone, it could be in your tempo, it could be in your volume, it could be in your pitch, right? So many different things can alter, and I call those textures, right? Those are vocal textures, can alter how certain phrases are interpreted. Okay. And they're not really listening to you. Okay. They're hearing you, right? The function of the ears, but what's really listening, so to speak, are their emotions. And once you start understanding and practicing with this, you can see it in real time in your own life. And once you start seeing this, you can understand, at least like on that level, how much influence you actually have just with your voice. That that alone can show you that you can shift how a woman behaves simply by way of her picking up on your emotion through your voice, right? I mean, they can also read your vibe. You know what I'm saying? Which is, like if you're living with a woman and say you have a bad day, you come home, you're fucking grumpy, you just want to like take a shower and relax and not talk, she's going to feel that, and a lot of times internalize it, right? And they'll say like, oh shit, like did I do something wrong? Did I forget something? Like, why is he upset? Like, should I ask him if he's upset, or like should I ask him why he's upset? Like, I don't know what to do. So that's just reading off of your vibe, like when you come into a room, right? Now, my example is pretty easy, it's fairly callous, because frustration and anger is very easy for people to pick up on, you know but just know that all of your vibes, right, all of your vibe textures have an impact. All right. Even more so when the woman has interest in you. When she has high interest, it's like basically everything you do is is has the potential to be influential, and that's a very real thing, you know. So now I said that I was going to go back and explain why it actually does matter sometimes with regard to women's wants, right? Because at first I was like, yeah, women's wants, they're bullshit, but they're actually kind of not in certain situations. I started off with that, but let me see what University of Fulfillment is saying here. Welcome. Question: I believe the occult tackles a lot of psychology and philosophy around trying to get into people's heads. Do you recommend it to be able to get inside a woman's mind? Um, no. Well, I wouldn't recommend anything to get inside a woman's mind, okay? Because you should not be motivated to get inside a woman's mind. It should be just something that happens, okay? If Because this, okay, this bullshit here, sorry university, but this is bullshit because it's making it about the woman, right? The stuff that I'm talking about, like the influences that I have with my girls, I wasn't coming at it from the position of, oh, I want to get in her head or their head so that I can uh, have a particular outcome that is beneficial or pleasant to me, right? Like that's making it about the woman, and that's making it about what can I get out of it, right? You're skipping along the surface. So you're saying, I want to dip into the deep shit to satisfy my superficial bullshit, right? That's crazy, right? That's like that's like the what do they call that? Grifters. That's grifting, right? Right there is grifting university. Uh it's similar to some guys. Like I see this, like where there's an influencer and he's gone a certain way, and then all of a sudden he had this experience and now he's found Jesus. Okay. And he starts changing everything that he's saying and doing and selling to having some sort of influence or some sort of connection with Christianity. And you know everybody knows, like, you start selling into that demographic, whatever it is, a service or a product, it gets swept up like crazy. Okay. And so um the that to me is like grifting, because they're like, oh, uh you know like I can just start selling myself as this, right? And because there's so many people who are into um into Christianity, lovers of Jesus, that I'm just going to make a shit ton of money off of these people, right? And they do it all the time. Like, I think that's like those big, like, mega churches. There's some crazy motherfucker, like, he's like a multimillionaire, um, and he runs, I can't remember he's got a really, he's older white guy, and he's super creepy in the face. Like, you look at his eyes, you're like, nah, dude, you've got straight demon fucking eyes, bro. um and that's what he does. He uses the grifting, but he's been grifting so long that he probably even believes his own bullshit. And it's like, oh yeah, like, I'm totally all about Jesus. And it's like, wait, isn't there that line in the Bible that, like, it's easier to fit a camel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven? Something along those lines. He's got this like $50 million mansion that he lives in with, like, his wife. His kids are gone or whatever. It's like, a 20-bedroom home. But anyways, so don't make this shit about the woman. All right. When you make these things, uh, see, I found a key to unlocking ancient secrets that I could show you how, only for $19.95. And if you order now, you'll get a free pocket Bible. Order now. So, yeah, it, like, doing any of this shit for women is the wrong way. All right. It's like, yes, I get it. Like, if you're not interacting with girls, you're not getting what you want, you're fucking sexually frustrated, you're looking for answers. You're like, well, how the fuck can I fix this? How can I turn it around? Because I just want to hold a girl's hand. Right? Like, Jesus Christ, if I get to sleep with them, my head might explode, you know? Um, and so, I get it. Like, I get it. And, like, the male loneliness thing is growing like crazy, but you don't fucking need, like, special tactics. You don't need to, get into deep psychology and philosophy and the occult and mind bending and, like, cult philosophies and shit like that. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Okay. Like, seriously, your loneliness, like, if you are lonely, anybody listening, has everything to do with you. It has nothing to do with women, really. It has to do with a shitty relationship that you have with yourself. And you want someone to just, like, make you feel better. And really, that's just on your shoulders, right? It's not like trying to get something and, you know, so that you can become more appealing to then draw in women so that you can feel better about yourself. You have to just feel better about yourself without women, right? Like, that's the way it's been for a long time. And things have just shifted in the recent years. Okay, it's on you to accept yourself without anyone's help. All right, and until you do, you're going to be miserable because you're inside. You're in a state of conflict, right? The wanting and then the rejecting, right? And the wanting wants you to extend outward, right? It's saying, "Oh, I don't like this feeling of this wanting, of this craving. Let me satisfy it by doing this, by consuming this, whatever it is." Okay, and so really what really has to happen is not seeking the outside and figuring out why you're rejecting yourself from in the first place, like at the root. Okay, and this is what's going to start changing your life, but that's not easy. Okay, that's why it's helpful to have a guide. It's helpful to have a coach, a teacher, a professor, like a family member who knows what the fuck they're doing. um, like just somebody who knows what they're doing that can help you, right? I don't know about therapy. Only for like certain kinds of ailments would I suggest that someone seek therapy, because even the male therapists don't know what the fuck is going on with men, um, because they themselves are fucking screwy. Like I remember many years ago, I went and saw this therapist, and I was like, it was when I had first like came across red pill before it was called red pill. Okay, like it didn't even have a name, and I started describing some of these concepts to him, and he's like I've never heard of this stuff before. Like this is like some wild stuff. And I'm just like, holy shit, like how is it that like you're the therapist and I know more about, interpersonal dynamics than you do, right? Like I was like blowing his mind with some of the shit that I was saying. I was like, this is fucking wild. I can't handle this. But anyways, everything everything that you need is sitting right inside you. You just have to stop rejecting it. You got to stop turning away from the shit that you don't like. Okay, because behind pain is truth. That's where the truth of you lies. That's where the truth of so many things lie, is behind a wall of pain. And so you need to push through that. You need to examine and not allow yourself to have emotional reactions to that exploration, because that's your natural reaction to try to like deviate or detour or deflect, just so you don't go there, right? And you will notice that your own mind will start fighting against you to get into that area of truth. It's a really weird thing. Like think about that. Like part of your mind will fight against your efforts to get to know who you are, right? Because who you are, part of you is behind that wall of pain. Yeah, what are you saying here? I understand that money and status and having a ripped body doesn't influence a woman's mind. No, it doesn't influence her emotions, right? But it's helpful to have a relationship with yourself. So I think I should develop it. Well, having a relationship with yourself is everything, right? Um, like it's fine. Like if you want to have a fit body, go for it. If you want to increase your financial status and your wealth, go for it, right? But it's really not going to affect women very much, like not on a profound level, right? I'm going for profound, right? I want to infect her entire existence, right? I'm not from her skin outward, but for her skin inward. I want to infect her whole fucking thing like a virus and start changing her biology, right? Like how like my cells go in there and start mutating her cells just by my presence, not by like, oh, I'm going to do this. What's my secret fucking plan? Let me implement trick A and tactic B, right? It's not like that. Okay. I just know it's going to happen by default, simply by my presence alone. It's just something I know. I know that I know that I know. And that's all that I need, right? Like Steve, shout out to Steve. He mentions betting on yourself. That's betting on yourself. I know because I know that I know. And that's it. That's having full trust in yourself. You can't have full trust in yourself unless you accept yourself, unless there's no rejection. Okay? If there is, then you're going to say that you bet on yourself. You say that you trust yourself, but that's just a big front. That's a big front for your ego, you know? Um, yes, torturing her. So, yeah, that's so like I was saying, all right, so let's jump into what I was going to talk about, which is the what's it called? How her surface level desires matter. Okay. Um, so they don't matter, but you can make them. Oh, let me just say this: they don't matter, but you can make them useful. Okay. Because what do we always say at the Dominance Academy, right? Whenever there's a desire, that automatically creates leverage. Okay. Even if you didn't even have the thing, right? So she's like, I want to go on vacation. Just the desire alone turns into leverage. Okay. Desire turns into leverage. So, so any of those like surface level desires that a woman has that you're interacting with, okay? Like, if it's some chick out in the fucking world and I hear her saying, I want to take a trip to Bali, like somewhere on a mountain in some corner of the fucking internet, like, why would I be listening to that in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Um, the but you guys listen to that shit. I just don't understand like why you listen to women. Okay, I think you need to make a pledge right now. I think you need to make a pledge right now that you will no longer listen to women unless it's the woman that's right in front of you. And I don't mean listen as far as like heeding what she has to say or doing what she says or anything like that. But I just mean allowing their words to be in your field of awareness. Okay, that's what I mean by listening. If it's not the woman in front of you, don't fucking listen. Don't even hear it. Don't even hear it. You start hearing that shit, just flip the channel. Switch the fucking program. Change, close the tab, whatever it is. Scroll past it like as quick as possible and do this for like 2 weeks straight. Do not stop to listen to anything a woman has to say anywhere unless it's your woman, right? And the only reason why that you would listen to the words that come out of your woman's mouth is because she's earned that privilege. She's earned the privilege of your attention, right? And a lot of you guys, you talk out the two sides of your mouth, right? You're like on one hand, sound all fucking tough, you know, sound all tough and shit. It's like, don't fucking give women your attention. They gotta earn my attention, right? And then those same guys will give fucking bucket loads of their attention to strangers, to women that they don't know, and they'll watch podcast after podcast after podcast of like the whatever podcast and Fresh and Fit and whatever else that host women, and they'll watch this shit like I don't know how many hours per month, right? Probably many, maybe like hundreds of hours per month listening to the words of women that don't matter like at all. Total meaninglessness. But they will listen with intent. They will give tons of free attention to women that are just pixels on a screen. Okay? And then they'll say, but a woman's got to earn your attention. Really? Because you look pretty fucking free to me. You are free. You have no value. Things that are free have no value. They're not respected, right? Like I've talked about this. Like if I were to give you like a, like a Porsche 911, you'd like it. You'd be like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, thank you, Justin. Really? You're just giving this to me? You'd be excited. Okay. But if you had this obsession with Porsche and you set your mind to it and you saved and you worked and you put it away and boom, 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 and it took you a couple of months or however many months and you bought yourself the exact fucking Porsche 911 that you wanted, okay, it would make a way better impact on you. You'd be like, yes, this is my fucking car. Like, I made this a reality in my life. Okay. I had the vision, I set to the plan, and I made it fucking happen. This is mine. Right. And it's because you earned it. But you guys, you give tons of your attention away to women that you don't even know for free. And then you'll complain that you're not getting the respect that you want. You'll complain that women do this, they say that. It's like because you have no fucking standards for your own behavior. You talk out of both sides of your mouth. Like what fucking kind of man are you? And that's a good question to ask yourself. What kind of man am I? I'm the kind of man that likes grape fucking seltzer. So with these desires, it really, oh, that's cute. Yeah, it's really weird. I was like, this one is one submissive. It was right at the height when the AI art was the Studio Ghibli style. That was like, a fad for like a couple days. Um, I I made a like an image of her, like I made a prompt and like of this girl, right, of this one particular submissive, and around her neck, I had her wear like a black choker with a little moon hanging from it, and she was like dumbfounded when I sent it to her. She's like, "Holy shit!" And she went and like opened her drawer, and she had the exact same fucking choker like in her drawer. And she's like, a couple of years ago, like I used to wear this all the time. It was the exact same choker. Like I don't know what came over me. Like in the prompt, I was like, yeah, put a choker like around your neck with the moon. And she, no, I'm just bringing this up because she sent an image of her teaching, and that picture is on her desktop. So it's like, do I really care? No. It's was I trying to get in her head, right? As per like university, how you're thinking about these things. No, right? It's just something I wanted to do, and it just got into like I'm with the assumption that everything that I do gets in her head, right? Like I'm already there. I've already moved in. I'm already fucking putting my furniture where I want it to be. I'm already repainting, right? I'm already fucking laying plans for a new electrical and new plumbing. Like I'm, it's already done in my head. Okay. Like I'm not trying to figure out ways like how can I get in. I assume from jump that I'm already living there. And the only reason why you can't do this is because you're scared. You're scared that, and this is not just you, university. This is, you guys, right? Is that you're scared that she's not going to like you. And then it's like, well, why are you scared of her not liking you? Like, what are you afraid of? Is somebody not liking you? So what? Okay. And like, why does that matter? Why does it matter to be liked? Like that's a bigger problem. You see, you know, you guys are looking at the wrong problem. You're looking at the wrong problem. You're looking at Like, oh, women are confusing. How do I influence them? How do I get with them? How do I do this? How do I do that? And you're missing the whole fucking point, because the fact that you're asking that means that you've got a problem that you're ignoring, like in the first place. Like, the fact that you're drawn out of yourself to try to figure out somebody else before you figure out yourself is a problem. And that's something that you need to see and understand. Like, why is that a priority versus yourself? And you don't know what you stand on. You don't know, like, what your your internal constitution is. You don't have a program. You don't have a like a like there's a lot of stuff that like Steve talks about, where he's talking about like your own personal mission statement, your bylaws, like all of that stuff. I know it's like, metaphors and things along those lines, but it kind of isn't, right? Like, we do have a sense of like an internal government, right? And like, if you want to go to classical psychology, it's like the id, the ego, the super ego, and all that shit. you know University, I appreciate all your comments here, man. Engaging. So, Mr. Justin, I understand that you should not make the game about women, but why is it that you always talk about influencing a woman's emotions and having influence over her? Because it's fun, right? The way I see women is that they are a canvas and I am an artist. Okay? That's the way I see it. This isn't making it about women, all right? Because I'm not trying to get anything from them, right? It's totally different from the perspective of like a lot of guys, because they're coming at it from a place of, I want to get something out of them. Okay, so I can talk about women, and frankly, a lot of my shows are not about them. Right? It's rare, I think, when I'm making a show specifically about girls. But it has a lot to do with motivations. Okay, so I've mentioned this like example before. So like, let's say you have clones. All right, you've got clone A and clone B. It's a guy, and they're exactly the same. Okay, except for one thing, right? Clone A is insecure, right? They're both really good looking. They're both really smart. They're both very successful. They both dress the same, sound the same, smell the same. Everything about them is the same, except Clone A is insecure and he seeks validation. Clone B is super grounded. He's not searching for validation. He's not looking for any of that shit. Okay? They both take the same action. They ask a girl out on a date to, join them for dinner. Okay? The motivation shifts the action completely. Okay? Clone B, dinner is just dinner. And that's it. It doesn't go any deeper than that. Clone A, that dinner means something. Her time means something. Her attention means something. Everything that she does means something. They even take it to a high degree. And they're saying, oh, well, she turned her feet towards me while she was talking. She put her hair behind her ear. That means this. Her toes mean this. Her body language means this. Oh my gosh, she sat forward when I sat forward. She sat back when I sat back. She laughed at my jokes about 40% of the time. Like, they take meaning into every detail. Everything has meaning. But it's because he has a different motivation. He's motivated completely differently than Clone B, right? So it's not about the actions. It's not about me talking about women. I talk about it because you guys are fucking obsessed with women. And it just, brings more eyes on my channel. But with my coaching, we don't really talk about women a whole lot. It's mostly about the guy. I would say probably about like 75% of the training has everything to do with just him. Then once he's settled, grounded, and his motivations are shifted, now it fucking opens up. because now you're not making a painting to get accolades, right? That's another great example. It's like I've lived a life as an artist for many, many years, and I've known artists who their creations are there so that they can gain attention and accolades and get that validation and feel famous. Okay. Then there's purists who are just like, no, I paint because I paint. I this is just what I do. It's part of my breathing. It's part of my living. It's what I do. And it just so happens people want to buy it. Okay. So once you get yourself settled and you're grounded and you understand yourself, you understand more of your internal architecture. You've done shadow work. You've embraced the things that you dislike about yourself. Okay. And you then start nurturing this integration. Then you're grounded, and all of the things that you do with women, they're just simply extensions of your creation, right? And that's all that is. Like you know, like this recent submissive that I'm training, that's what I told her. I said, "You are a canvas to me," and she didn't understand it. Sorry, weeks ago when I told her this, but now she gets it because she's like realizing that she is paint because she's allowing herself to be, right? Because she trusts me, right? The feelings she gets from my interactions, but which wouldn't happen if I made it about them. I've made so many years about myself, right? So women take on this completely different paradigm shift. They're no longer what I once thought they were or needed them for or wanted them for. Now, if I link in, they just become an extension of me. That's it. It's just another means for me to express myself, right? Just like this, using YouTube. This is just a channel for me to express my energy, my words, my thoughts, whatever. Okay? It's the same fucking thing, right? I'm not trying to get anything out of it. If I do, it's just a residual. It's just something that happens, right? It's like you want to put paint on the canvas and oh, look at that. It just so happens that it's a beautiful painting and now I can try to sell it if I want to, right? Or I can just hang it on my wall or I can give it to a friend. Like and so you can't like get to that point of freedom if you've got a bunch of bullshit in your head that is tainting your motivations. It's it's not going to work, right? And then people will see the things that I do. That's why I don't like show a whole lot of receipts, right? Because it fucks with people. It changes what they what they do, and a lot of times it's not good, right? So guys I have shown receipts before, and they're like, "Oh damn, I want to do that. I want that fucking reaction from that girl," right? And then they try to copy some of the things that I do and say, and it's like, your motivation's all fucked up, right? You're doing this out of a hurt ego. You're doing this out of a scared ego. You're doing this out of like child wounds, right? You're doing this out of like a completely wrong place, all right? To try to get her to do something so that you can feel better, so you can feel cool, so you can feel validated, right? So I don't even bother with that shit anymore, right? It's yeah, it just lends to more destruction, you know. Fumbling about, guys getting into trouble, doing and saying the wrong thing, and then thinking they're leading, and then the girl ends up having some sort of false experience or a fucked up experience or what have you, and so it's not good, you know. But let's see. Hmm. Oh damn. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this girl. Holy shit. You know, and also when you stop paying attention so much or caring so much about their desires, okay? I mean, you can even just ignore their needs for a little while. Excuse me. You can like how do I explain this? It's like when you do that, you can kind of settle into this slow burn, okay? And that already starts changing the atmosphere, okay? Because there's just something so like I don't know, on the nose and not very exciting when a woman comes across a man who wants to fuck. It's like, oh, oh, okay. Like way to be fucking way to be creative about it. You know what I'm saying? Like oh, great, another guy who wants to fuck. And then it's like, all right, well, he's cute. All right, fine. You know, like yeah, he's pretty hot or like oh, I'll get to ride, his motorcycle or I'll get to be in his car for a little while. Maybe he'll take me shopping. Um, you know, and like gives him the time of day, but it's like it's so uninteresting. Okay, like you got to understand, like a real desire of a woman, you know what they really fucking desire? Tension. That's what women desire. They desire tension. And it's like if you oh fuck, like guys who know, I feel like guns, you know what I'm talking about, but like if you know how to wield that dial of tension and you can like fluctuate that shit between like 3 and 5 indefinitely, right? Or just over a long period of time. This just keeps them fucking engaged and hungry and horny, like for however long you want. It's like it's crazy. And the thing is, the ironic part is that it doesn't do anything to you because you've let go of this animalistic, insecure desire to fuck. Okay? Like once that's gotten taken care of, it's funny because you gain much more control and you get more of the things that you wanted when you were fucking hungry for sex. But now you don't really want so much of the things that are being given to you. It's really ironic. There's so many ironies in the game, it's not even funny. All right. But that's a big one. Like when you stop truly, genuinely, authentically, like down to your fucking bones, not care so much about getting laid or getting her attention or whatever the fuck you want to get from her, right? Once that really, really subsides a lot, okay, you start getting those things. But when you do, now you don't really care so much. It's really quite funny. Um, but shit, I forgot where I was going with that. But I don't know. You could just do a lot more, and then it becomes, I don't know, it just becomes a fun game, right? Maybe that's just my inner sadist, but my inner sadist talking. If you do your own version of the coaching or teaching instead of learning how to do it from transparency and authenticity, you will suffer, guaranteed. Yeah, yep, yeah. Like it's really yeah, it's really tough. Like you have to have it can be done, but it's a certain type of guy with a certain type of mind, and they're not super common. They're really not super common. What's up, young villain? Yeah, I'm worried if I try to control my hunger for sex that it will lessen my libido. What do you think? No, no, not at all. Um, But, you know, well, the thing is like, I don't want to be subject to anything, right? Uh, I mean, I'm already subject to air. I'm subject to water. I'm subject to food. I'm, mostly subject to clothing and money and housing. Okay, but if you're subject to your libido, that means women are in control of you. Okay, so you got to choose. Do you want to be in control of pussy, but not want it as much, or are you willing to be controlled by pussy and want it a lot? It's up to you. Which shit sandwich do you want to eat? I would rather, I would much rather be in control and not be influenced by pussy and get way more of it, but not care, than to be easily influenced by pussy, have it be in control of me, and not get as much. But what I get feels amazing, right? Psychologically, because physically it doesn't change, right? What guys, like you, what you're talking about, you get an emotional charge from it. You get something out of it beyond your nervous system. Okay, it's not just nerves for you. There's something else there, and that's what makes it so impactful. It's because it's affecting your psychology. It's affecting your emotions, not just your feelings, but your emotions. Okay. That's why it has pull over you, because, if you've studied anything to do with like, um, uh, advertising design, marketing, any of that stuff, the psychology behind these things, you start affecting people's emotions, and you can make them do things. You can make them think things. You can make them buy things. Okay. You can make them vote in a certain way. You can make them perceive certain things and make certain choices. It's a really, really powerful thing to start influencing and channeling people's emotions. Okay. And for guys like you, young villain, is that the woman doesn't have to even try. You do it to yourself. It's not like the woman is like walking by, like a cat in heat. You see the cat, they're like bent over and their tails up in the air and they're like walking backwards, like, somebody fuck me, please. Like, women aren't doing that to you. Like, I'm telling you, like, literally, like, just pushing their pussy, like, pulling their pants down, and you're like, please, will you fuck me, young villain? Please, 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 please. Right? They're not doing that. Okay. It's just a woman you see on social media, a woman you're talking to on Instagram, a woman you're talking to, around the way. But they're not putting their pussy like on you, right? They're not really influencing you that way. So all the influence is actually coming from yourself. That's even another layer of like fucked up shit where you're not in control. So there's layers of you not being in control, right? I want to be in fucking control. Like, this is what allows one to fucking infiltrate another person's system and take it over like a fucking computer virus. Right? I don't want to be the computer. I want to be the virus. Any tips for increasing libido and staying rock hard? Okay, especially as you get older into your 30s. Well, I'm 47 and I still wake up with morning wood. But libido is the desire and the drive to have sex. Okay. My libido is pretty mid. Like, and I like it that way because I'm more calm. I'm more in control. I can think more clearly. But the shit that I do would fucking make you pale as a ghost and pass out. But it doesn't move me. Like, I'm not moved to do those things. It's just I can create the scenarios which allows me to do it. And that's just it. Like, it's not a like a big deal, right? It's fun. Okay. It's a way for me, another avenue for me to express myself and create things. And then I get to watch a woman's brain turn into fucking oatmeal, right? That's all fun stuff, you know? But the libido, this drive, like, oh, I gotta fuck, right? Like, that only happens if I'm like going on a blast, like with testosterone. And I'm like, all right, for the next few weeks, I'm going to take like 700 milligrams. Like, yeah, that will shoot my libido through the fucking roof. All right. But even still, like, I'll feel it. But again, like, I'm so conditioned by my own choices that it's like, no, like, I don't care how strong the pull is, even if I can feel it, I am not going to move. Like, no one can move me until I say go. Like, that's it. I don't give a fuck how cute you are. I don't care how sexy you are. I don't care how nice your voice sounds, like how good you smell, how you're talking to me. Like, I don't give a flying fuck how you present yourself. You're not moving me until I say I move. Like, you have no power here whatsoever. Zero. Like, negative zero. You're not even at zero. You're in the negative numbers. You got to work your way up to neutral. No, that's just not happening, you know? But as far as like, hardness, that has to do with blood flow. Blood vessel elasticity. There's shit. I take it every day too. I can't remember what it is. Uh, oh, chestnut, something chestnut. Um, Horse chestnut. That's what it is. So it's a liquid, and it's just a horse chestnut tincture. And I drink this every morning, and amongst other vitamins. But this one is designed, or not designed, but like what it does is it helps the elasticity of your blood vessels. So for someone like aging like myself, this is something that is important because this is what leads to cardiovascular issues, um, circulatory issues, is just having weak blood vessels. So that's yeah, horse chestnut extract. Yep, that's what I take. Um, yep, it's good stuff. But yeah, there's a number of them, you know, and stuff like Cialis, like that's not bad. It was originally designed for heart health. That's why they made it in the first place. Um, it's a vasodilator. So what that does, it opens up blood vessels everywhere, So I'll take Cialis as like a pre-workout because it opens up the blood vessels, more blood can flow, I'll be more vascular, like my muscles get more delivery of blood, and so it helps like with pump and all that good stuff. Um, but they found out, they were like, oh yeah, and it helps guys get boners, so let's just sell it that way. We'll sell more pills if we market it towards getting boners instead of being good for your heart, and we'll make more money, which they did. Viagra is like, yeah, I'll do that too. Yes, this is good for boners. So yeah, really it's just like a matter of like, it's not so much of like what you do to make things healthier, is actually making sure you don't do things that make you unhealthy, right? Like that's really um that's really it. Yep, steak, eggs, high fat, low sugar. Yeah, yeah, like sugar fucks, man, sugar fucks you up. Like that, like if I was really criminal and I could go back in time, I would start, like, I would be all up on that Domino Sugar Company. Holy shit, man. Like, cuz basically, like, if you own a sugar company, you can sell to pretty much every single food that's processed, right? Like, obviously you're not gonna like sell it to farms and shit, but like anyone who's producing food that goes in a box or a packaging or something, okay, like you look at bread and why there's sugar in bread? It doesn't make any sense. It's to make you more addicted. And to, like they put like high fructose corn syrup in bread. What the fuck is corn syrup doing in bread? It doesn't make any sense. It's a highly addictive material. It's been proven. Like, so you fucking take that shit and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy another loaf. But if you've ever made bread, you look up a recipe for like homemade bread, there's no sugar in it, right? I mean, possibly depending on the type of bread or the recipe for it, maybe there's a pinch, but it's like nothing compared to what there would be in like the store-bought loaves. It serves no purpose other than to make it taste better so that you fucking eat more. It's crazy shit. But yeah, man, getting that I'd get it on that sugar and just sell it to every fucking company out there making food. Yes. Nothing better than dialing up a woman or dialing a woman up and down, then slowly dialing up to the point of meltdown. Then she just has a sexual meltdown. Yeah. Yeah. That's it's just a weird fucking thing because you can't. Right. So you guys know, like I was talking about, like the conductor, right? The conductor mindset. Okay. The conductor can make a fucking amazing thing happen on the orchestra stage, right? He can like just create magic, transport the audience to like a whole other fucking realm, right? But he can't do that if he's there with them on their level, enjoying the music and getting engrossed. He will lose his fucking place. He won't be able to lead. The strings will be going haywire. The brass will be going fucking haywire. The percussion will go haywire. Like everything will fall apart. Okay. The only reason why he's able to create such beauty and complexity and sophistication is because he's not enjoying it. That's the fucking irony. You can do this. You can dial them up, dial them down, take them to a fucking other dimension, okay? And back again. But it only comes about if you're not with them. You're not on the same level. You're not with them. They're in their own fucking journey, their own experience because of you. You're not on the same fucking level. You're not the conductor is not on the same level as the orchestra. They look up to him. They're waiting for his guidance, his timing, his movements, his signals, all the shit. He's in control of the orchestra. He's in control of the audience. He controls what they experience. He controls what they produce. Okay? And he's hearing it, but he's not listening. Right? And so once you learn to stop listening to women, you can hear them, but stop listening on multiple levels. Listening to their fucking yapping about social issues, right? Listening to their feelings about this stupid fucking thing over here. Listening to their sexuality, okay? Once you stop that, all right, you can then start conducting things. And the weird part is that they just follow it, right? Now, granted, if she's not attracted to you at all, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to happen. But let's just assume you're only dealing with women that are actually attracted to you, okay? Because that's like a really good assumption. I hope that you guys aren't fucking with women who are not interested in you. That's pathetic, right? Don't move through life as a pathetic man, right? Don't fuck with women who are not interested in you, okay? Either it's a hell yes or no, right? If it's not a hell yes, don't fuck with it at all. Don't embarrass yourself. Have some fucking dignity, right? But what if I This guy on this YouTube channel said that if you put up with her shit tests and prove to her that you're a real man, that she'll want to fuck you. Oh god, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna you're gonna twist your ankle trying to do all that shit. Um, oh, what is my age? The age of my clients. Age range. 30s to 50s. I'd say mid to late 30s, all the way up to mid 50s. That's my clients. I've got a few guys who are older than me, um, but so I would say mid to late 30s to mid to late 40s, and then like occasionally it sprinkles up into the older, and sometimes it sprinkles down into the younger. Um, but typically those are the guys who are having interaction with women, and they've got the financial means to pay for a guide. So yeah, but that's true. Yep. I had this guy. He was in his late 50s, and he was married for like a long fucking time, got out of this nasty fucking divorce. Like the divorce took him something like 7 years. It was insane. Went through tons of, well, his lawyer was the same, but he went through, his ex-wife went through tons of lawyers, tons of them, because she was just upping the ante, going for more crazy and more crazy and more fucking histrionics. And after a while, lawyers are like, no, dude, I'm not going after that. Like, that's just crazy. You're going to have to find yourself other representation because you're just crazy at this point. I'm not doing it. Like, it looks bad for me. It looks bad for my portfolio. I'm just not doing it. So she just was dragging shit out, dragging shit out. And after a while, the judge was like, you know what? Like, you got to stop this shit. Like, this is getting out of fucking hand. Right. So he got back into the game late, right? He was married for a long fucking time, and he was in his late 50s. Great attitude though. So like, to what Guns is saying here, it's about your mentality, your attitude. Like that really determines your age. You know what I'm saying? Granted, yes, our bodies can break down after a certain point, but um, it's about the freshness of your mind, and the you know having having a sprightness about your spirit, right? And he had this, right? He wanted to get back out and just like live life again, and I don't blame him. After being married to a fucking, crazy ball and chain. God damn. Seriously, dudes, if you're going to go into long-term relationships or even get married, you had better get to the point where the woman has 1000% religious devotion to you. I'm talking about religious fucking zealot. That's what you want on your team. If she's not that, don't even fucking bother. And her not being that is a combination of either her being the wrong choice, okay, and you not knowing what the fuck you're doing. And oftentimes, it's a combination of those two things. Choosing the wrong woman because you just thought she was hot at the time and she gave you sex and you didn't have fucking options. And so, you're like, okay, you're going to be her for a while. And then time goes on and time goes on, and she's still here. You still keep choosing her because you don't have any other fucking choice. And you end up marrying this girl, And all the while, you don't know what the fuck you're doing when it comes to influence. You don't know what the fuck you're doing in terms of like, you know, like how to bring her guard down, right? How to allow her to relax, how to invite her into submission, right? Like, you don't know any of that shit. So you got fucking Joe Average here, like, marrying his only fucking option, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And then after a while, yes, she's going to start taking over because you're not. You don't know how. You might have the desire, and maybe sometimes you'll try, but just fucking like falls flat, right? It doesn't work. And it's a terrible recipe. Like this is what like most marriages are like. They just kind of like settle into things, right? They even say it like, "Hey, you're gonna settle down one of these times. One of these days you're gonna settle down. You're gonna get married. Have kids." It's like there's such like I don't like the whole notion of like social constructs, when like, the LGBTs are talking about in terms of like gender identity and all that stuff. I get it, but you know, like this whole like partnering up thing, like who fucking said that that was law? Like that's the way we should, and I get it. Like we built societies off of this sort of system. I get it, right? It served a really great purpose, and it would continue to do so if we continued with it. But we also just must understand that it's just a social agreement that we came upon, right? That uh, that we, maybe hoped would create that devotion, okay? Um, but understand, like the things don't create the situation. Like I was saying, the fancy car, the nice apartment or the nice home, the clothes, the fitness, the this, the that. That's not going to convert her. Okay, like it's not gonna give her a fucking coming to Jesus moment. All right, and you should not be getting into long-term situations with a girl or considering marriage with a girl who has not had that coming to Jesus moment, who hasn't had that coming to young villain moment or Uncle Guns moment, right? Like if she's not having that moment where she's like, holy fuck, who am I? Who are you? Is happening to me? If that's not happening, don't commit to marriage. Don't do it until you're confident that you can like have this level of influence over somebody. Because the way things are, right? Like with the pressures, like whether it's direct or indirect, of society, of social media, friends, all kinds of shit, okay, on the minds of women, that means that your frame, right, your frame of reference and your whole inner world has to be stronger than that. Your influence has to be stronger than that. If it's not, you're fucked. That's just the way it is. Unless it's the type of person, and they're out there, they're rare, but they're out there who just don't engage. They don't watch the news. They don't use social media. They're just not into that thing, right? Um, I've met some farm girls who are that way. They just born and raised on farms. They like dirt bikes. They like hard work. That sort of shit. They like fishing. They're not going to be all like strung up on social media quite as much as say like some city girl. But that's going to be kind of rare. So I think it's just it's importance. More importance to learn how to influence by way of learning how to influence yourself. That's the fucking trick. That's really where it starts, right? Like how the fuck are you gonna learn to lead, influence, dominate a woman, right? If you can't even fucking do that to yourself, it how are you going to influence and lead a woman if this little wet hole between her legs alters your behavior? This little inert, uh, lifeless. I mean, it's lifeless in terms of like its own separate consciousness. Okay, like how does this like non-sentient thing have such control over you? You know what I'm saying? and you want to be dominant. Please. This little inert wet hole the size of a quarter makes you do all kinds of stupid shit. Think stupid shit. Try to like scheme and try to like be something and like I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that and whatever. Like, and the woman's not even thinking about this shit. Like this is like a dialogue, a wordless dialogue happening between you and the woman's pussy down there. And you're not even like you're like only like halfway engaging with her brain. But all your like majority of your engagement is this unspoken dialogue between you and this wet little hole. And the hole is winning. The hole is winning. Jesus. And it like kicks your ass like every day for years. And you still get up, you're like, give me more. I'll get you this time. I'll get you next time. Oh fuck. Anyways. Well, because it all boils down to fucking the self, right? Like once again, shout out to Steve. Dude's fucking genius, you know. Like it's all about you, right? The game's all about you. You start talking about the one thing, right? I mean, we could be talking about girls, right? As what do women want, right? That's we started off with all that fucking bullshit, and it always whittles down to you, right? We can get into all kinds of details about BDSM. I love talking about that shit, right? But in order to make any of this shit happen, it always comes down to who is trying to make it happen. Because that makes all the difference in the world. Every bit of difference. Just like my example with the two clones. They're going to have vastly different experiences. And the woman who went out to dinner with them, right? Clone A and B, she too is going to be having a completely different experience. Which will then reflect back to you, right? Because you don't know this. You think women are independent and all this blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. They are mirrors. That's all they are. Women are mirrors. So when you're interacting with them, what you get off of them is not the direct, like the direct reflection of you. It's more like the moon. Okay? Yeah, that's a perfect example. The moon doesn't generate its own light. And it actually doesn't even have like a direct reflection because it's not like a mirror surface. Okay? You know, it's made of dust and rocks and all this shit. So the light is refracting, is partially reflecting. Some of it's getting absorbed. So it's not a direct reflection, but it is reflecting light from the sun, and that's how we can see the moon. Yes. So that's what women are like. It's not this direct one-to-one reflection like an actual mirror would. It's like the moon. It's some semblance of a reflection. And so really what you're getting from women has everything to do with what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're saying, and the motivations and where all of that even fucking comes from. You know? Like, man, I just want to fucking bang chicks and fuck some pussy and, you know, put my dick in holes. Okay, right? That's fine, you know? But I know for a fact you're going to get yourself tangled up in the brambles. You're going to be stuck in the briar patch. And he said, Justin, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the briar patch. There's thorns in my ass. How did I get here? Well, you were listening to pussy. You were following pussy. You had some fun on your way there, and now you're in trouble. Right? You got yourself into trouble. You got a woman pregnant. Yep, that's getting stuck in the briar patch. You know, you're living with a girl, right? And now she's turned into a right bitch. No, you're stuck in the briar patch. Oh, you signed documents and you're both owners of the business that you had dreams of starting together. Up, you're in the briar patch, tangled up with those fucking thorns. Yeah. Yep. Like my old karate teacher used to say, my first karate teacher when I was 12 years old. And he had this rule. He says, if you're going to play, you're going to pay. That's it. You want to fuck around? Okay. There's costs always to fucking around. But I want to be on the end of dealing the cost, not paying the cost, right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Sterling's a cool guy. Yep. But yeah, I want to be the one dealing out consequences, not the one paying the bill. Okay. So if you don't want to pay the fucking bill and you want to be the one doling out the consequences or receiving the bill, then receiving like the payment of the bill, then you got to take control, right? You got to take control of your impulses, your knee-jerk reactions, your judgments, your criticisms, your libido, all of that shit. Because anything that makes you move beyond a conscious thought has control over you. That's just the simple reality of it. And if you're okay with that, fine, right? I know some guys who are they're like, nah, fuck it. I love the chaos. And they have that worldview. They have that philosophy that just like life is chaos. Life is an adventure. Sometimes things work out great. Sometimes things work out shitty. And sometimes it's neutral. That's just life. And I like living on the edge this way, not knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, or what it's going to do to me, right? Either positive or negative. That's fine. Okay. I've got close associates who just live this way. And, they come to me and they're like, oh, listen to this story. And I'm just like, if you just had some fucking rules, this wouldn't be happening. If you would just stand on some shit, this wouldn't be happening, So if you're going to choose a life of adventure, don't complain of the outcomes. Okay. And if you're going to choose a life of control, don't complain of the outcomes, right? Because you have to learn to, like, I don't know, feather things, right? So I allow my girls to be the source of expression and adventure, keep the variables going, right? So I don't keep them on a super duper tight leash, right? Just enough so they can play around, fuck around, and create a variety by nature of them just being a little bit more free. Yeah, so I don't have to fucking come up with that shit. They just kind of know. They know they can fuck around and cause a little bit of mischief, which I don't mind at all. So, all right, I'm gonna pull this one to a close. This has been a long fucking stream, but I had a good time. Maybe it's because I was streaming in the fucking rain hut tonight. 2 hours, yeah. So thank you guys for coming through. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the company, and I hope this was informative for you. I'm hoping that you enjoyed your time with me. I know I did. I always enjoy my time with me. When you're a man, you're never alone. Never alone. Well, you're alone. Let me rephrase that. When you're a man, you're never lonely. I fucking love being by myself. I fucking love it. Oh. Ways to cure ED. Well, if you have ED, I mean, we can talk about that, but if you don't have ED, why the fuck are you concerning yourself with other guys' ED? Like, yeah. I mean, if you've got this problem, just get in touch with me. We can talk. I've got solutions. So, yeah, thank you for stopping through, everybody. Appreciate the comments. Thank you for those who are watching this on the replay. And if anybody wants to get in touch, please go to thedominanceacademy.com or find me on Instagram, thedominance.academy, or hit me up with an email, justin@thedominanceacademy.com, and set up your free consultation. I want to meet you. We can talk about anything you like. Let's talk about motorcycles. I love that shit. Or spanking. Let's talk about spanking. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.